Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of Becoming Apex, where we bring on the extraordinary to see what makes them extraordinary. I'm here with my business partner and co-host, Edgar Franco.
What's up?
What's up, guys? So let's get the show going today, man. Edgar.
All right. Hey, what's up, EP? Hey, guys, we got a special episode today. We like to call it the Power Couple Series because we have some extraordinary guests with us. We brought our
Very special
wives. Our wives. Hey, ladies.
Hey, ladies. So you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Brenda, Ernesto's wife.
And I'm Chan. I'm Edgar's wife.
Right on. Well, earlier they were bubbly talking. Now they're all a little quiet, reserved. But it's okay.
Now that the
We'll loosen-
camera's rolling, I'm like,
It's different.
yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, Ernesto and I thought we'd bring them on board because they are the true reason, or they're the real reason why, you know, where we're at today. As business partners, we got our own mortgage company. I mean, we've been hustling for several years now, almost a decade each. And, you know, for sure we wouldn't be here without them. So that's kind of why we wanted to bring them on board. But before we get into like where we're at now, something about them too is that they're also self-employed. They're entrepreneurs themselves. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk to them about, hear their story as well. And
Yeah, good, because in the entrepreneur self-employment world, you know, it's pretty much every man for himself, right? But when you're married, you have that partner in life that helps you kind of get through some of the adversity that comes along with becoming an entrepreneur. Now, where I feel as though myself and Edgar have a pretty special scenario is that our wives are also entrepreneurs. So as we mentioned, we're business partners, Apex Mortgage Group, mortgage brokerage. That is our business, I guess you could say. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do as entrepreneurs and your particular business. Tell the audience.
You want me to go first?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a real estate agent. I started about 10 years ago. I work alongside Edgar, and how I got started is just I wanted more freedom. So 10 years ago, I was 22 years old. I just got out of the medical field. It wasn't for me. Very heavy on my heart. So I decided, because I had a passion for it when I was in high school, weird to think. And Edgar was like, I think this is a good time for you to kind of start getting into, like, looking into getting your real estate license. So I just jumped into it. I looked at online classes and did it. And we've just been doing it for the past 10 years.
Ever since. Awesome.
Yeah.
Brenda.
Nice. So I'm a self-employed hairstylist, and I kind of fell into it too. I didn't have a passion for hair like everybody else you talk to. Didn't have a passion for any of that. I actually went into beauty school with the plan of paying for college after I got a job, not knowing anything about entrepreneurship or that I was going to be going to school for entrepreneurship. So when I did go in, very quickly, I realized I was going to be broke for years. And so that's how I got into that hustle culture, because I had to hustle my way up. And that was, when did I finish beauty school? 2013?
Was it? I want to say more like 2015.
No, 2015, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
since then, and then here I am today, and I love it. I didn't even realize it, and I do not see myself doing anything else. So
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And what about you, brother?
I know, I was about to say you, but you got me first. So I actually got into real estate without thinking I was getting into real estate. I worked for a bank. I worked for Bank of America for several years. I was a personal banker when I got out of college. I did it for a little while, and then I found an opportunity in lending. I thought it was an upgrade. I quickly realized that it was not quite that. And I realized how difficult it was, because I know that we discussed it briefly that, you know, I didn't see it as self-employed. I just saw it as another sector of the bank. And then I figured out what it was, wanted to quit, but I realized the potential of being self-employed and when it comes to like the earning potential, the freedom of being self-employed, doesn't come easy, but I realized the opportunity that came with it. And I decided to take it full on. And this was back in 2014 was when I got into what I realized became real estate, which I literally saw it as another sector of banking. Yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it, and been doing it ever since. And to say I love it, it's a love-hate relationship because it has its ups and downs, and that's why we have our beautiful wives here to discuss that a little bit more. But that's a brief little overview of how I got into this. So how about you, Heather?
Man. So I grew up, both my parents, entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, trying different things, taco truck, restaurant, car dealership, selling and buying goats and cows and cattle, all this different stuff. And I just seen my parents just hustle all the damn time. And, you know, my dad would leave before the sun comes up, and then he's coming home at late at night just to lay down on the bed. And I was like, dude, that sucks. And then I started to think, going into like, before I graduated high school, like I really want to get a good job, and I think I should go get an education. I hated school and I hated college. And then I got a job, which was an entry-level job, working at a camera manufacturing company. And I kept saying like, oh, I'm going to work my way up to the top. Dude, I got laid off in 2008. 2008, I got laid off. It didn't even tell me. I just clocked out on Friday, and I remember Saturday morning I got a phone call, and they knew they were going to lay me off. Like, hey, don't come on Monday. I'm like, why? Is it a vacation or a holiday or something? Like, just don't come. You're not working here anymore. I was like, whoa. At that point, I knew for sure, like, I never want to feel that again, because, like, I was still young, but I knew, like, if I'm going to be, like, sitting around waiting for someone to tell me how I'm going to live my life, like, I'm not going to live a good life. So I had to take control in my own hands, and that's kind of how I started to venturing off, trying different things. I was working as an EMT, became a paramedic. In the meantime, I was still like in the lab room, you know, trying to figure out what business am I going to do. And I always liked real estate. I just didn't know how I was going to get into it. And then when I bought my first house, that's when I thought it all clicked. I was like, dude, this guy who did my loan didn't really do shit. Like, I did everything for him. I knew what I was doing. I did my own research, and then next thing you know, like, I'm getting my license, and that's how I got started. And from there, it's been a hustle.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that. Well, first off, I'm going to talk on the didn't do shit part, because it's difficult being a loan officer. There's a lot going on with it.
Yeah.
You were just a savvy buyer, and I think that kind of helped. But yeah. So, but one thing that I didn't like notice about like myself in your scenario is that like you knew you wanted entrepreneurship. I didn't. Right. Like
Same.
I was, yeah, well, no, I mean, my thing was like, I wanted to go to school. I was working for a bank at the time. I wanted to get a good cushy career. I mean, that's why I went to Fresno State. I thought that was kind of what was the path to success. Right. That's what my thoughts were. So it's pretty awesome to know that like, that was kind of like your goal from the very beginning. I admire that. That's great. So that kind of goes to show that you already kind of had it in you.
Yeah.
With me, it was forced into me, and it worked out ever since.
Well, I know what I went through. I kind of know what you went through to get clients, but I don't know anything about Brenda's past or Chan. I kind of know about your story, but like, how did you like get hustling on your end? Like, how did you have to?
It's so crazy. I fell into it. Like I said, I had no idea that going to beauty school, and I think a lot of people going to beauty school think the same thing. They think, oh, we're going to go have a fun job, and then, you know, we'll make money and live this luxury life, because you see, you know, a lot of hairstylists do that. No, I went in, and actually the first salon I fell into, I'm so grateful for that. I started off as commission, which is usually what you start out as. And I learned a lot. I was the owner's assistant as well as taking my own clients. So from then on, I learned a lot from school, and she pushed me like past the limits I even knew. Like, I think that's where my hustle started. Like, she pushed me, and shout out to Judith. Like, she was pretty awesome. She's hardcore, but it's worth it. And that's where I started like getting into social media. Now I'm not, which I should be a little more of, but
why aren't you?
Well, I'm a mom. It's a little.
And guys, she's pregnant. Oh.
I am. Number 2.
She's trying to hide the belly button. You totally exposed her.
I know. That was quick.
Sorry, I had to. I saw my space and I ran with it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, there's another one coming. But at the beginning, however, oh my gosh, I feel like I busted my butt. And everybody, I was never the type where it's like, let me do your hair, let me practice on you. My guinea pig was my sister, and since she was like 12, she was very young, and she was my guinea pig. My mom, like anybody that would allow me, I totally practiced. I actually I paid for classes while I was in beauty school, which a lot of people don't do. I realized like in a lot of the classes, I was the only student in them, where I just wanted to learn as fast as I can from the beginning. I wanted to learn from a person that's been doing it for years, which is why my goal from the beginning was to assist someone and take clients, because I wanted to build and learn as fast as I could.
Yeah.
And actually at the beginning, now, I mean, there's a lot of places you can go to and you can assist and take clients. But at the beginning, so many people told me, no, you have to do one thing or the other. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I'm going to do both. I'm going to figure out how to do both.
Nice.
And I did actually. It was perfect. Fell into it. Paul Mitchell's like regional director got me in with got me in with Judith at the only actually Paul Mitchell focused salon here in town. Got in as soon as I felt comfortable owning or renting my own chair. I left, and I feel like it started. And actually that first salon I started at, now that I think about it, he later told me he didn't even believe that I can like do it there, because it was downtown. I don't know if you guys know the Pacific Southwest building. There's actually
she was at a salon right there in between. It was a really nice salon.
At the second floor. Beautiful, gorgeous salon. It's still there, I think.
But it was the area, I think, overall.
The area at the time downtown and everything. But I loved it. And actually it is funny, because now that I think back to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how a lot of clients actually stayed with me throughout there. I would say I actually created a YouTube video to send clients just on like directions on how to get to the salon into the parking structure, because it was that difficult. And now actually years later, one of my clients even told me that she was getting chased by a homeless person on her way to her appointment.
Downtown.
I had no idea. And she's like, I just tried to get away. She was in a wheelchair, but she was like yelling at me crazy. I'm like, oh my God, well, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Point is, I like did it. I kept building my clientele even then on my own. And then when I was ready, it was time, I left. And that's how it started. But it is crazy to think, like, even the first salon that I went on my own and was doing this, like, I actually placed myself unintentionally in, like, a pretty difficult position to start out at on my own. But I did it.
Yeah.
And one thing to notate on that was, because obviously we were dating at the time.
Yeah.
And I saw it all kind of happen, right? And I felt, because even with me, being self-employed, I always feel uncomfortable when people that I love get into this, like, just entrepreneurship in general, because I know it's not easy and it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that it's either you sink or swim. But I noticed, and I watched you try to better yourself. I saw you taking classes. I saw you doing those things. And I was doing the same thing. And we were just kind of feeding off of that energy from each other. And then you built this brand. And that salon in and of itself, even though the general area was not the greatest, it had its own brand in and of itself. And then you built your own brand in and of itself. And to add to that helped me. And this is kind of lead into myself and Edgar really quickly, was that at the time we were working at Snap Home Loans. Mm-hmm. And it was a small brokerage, and we literally were in this little one-room office where it was a front room. Shout out Tristan.
Shout out.
Yeah, that's where we met. It was literally like a room, main office, and then we were all kind of squeezed into the back room, and then we had like a storage room to the side. And it was one of those things that I was like, hey, if these guys are over here doing their thing, using that room, and I was one of them, like, does it really matter as long as you do it right, and as long as you build your brand right, you do right by clients, and you continue to grow and you build it yourself? It's up to you, right? And anybody that has that right mentality and is willing to learn and grow and try, you could put them anywhere and they're going to start something big. And I learned that from you, and I'm going to notate that right now, because
I'm proud of myself for doing it there.
As am I. But yeah, so
at the moment, yeah.
Well, I got to witness my wife do her thing, because we're essentially partners. She does the real estate sales side. I do the financing side. So we kind of hustled up together, but I'll let her tell her story.
Yeah. So I started off I didn't know. After I got my test, I called Edgar. I was like, I passed. But I didn't know where I was going with it. And one of my best friend, her friend, did real estate 4 years prior to me. And he's like, hey, do you want to be my transaction coordinator? So I started off doing all the paperwork for, the real estate agents. And I was like, man, this kind of sucks. I don't want to just be in the office just doing paperwork. And then I eventually just went on my own, and Edgar and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But then Edgar and I, my broker at the time, he was like, you need to be doing open houses. You need a door knock. So we were doing that. We were constantly door knocking, doing open houses. And it was hard because I felt like I was so young in the industry, and there was all these other older agents that I had looked up to. I'm like, dang, I see their success. And I'm like, I want to be there already. And so, I would watch a lot of YouTube videos on other agents and how they built their success. And it is, doing prospecting, things like that. And Edgar also, my parents and Edgar, I would say, are a huge help in my success now, because without a partner, somebody that understands, I feel like as a solo agent, because I was never on a team, as a solo agent, I feel like I would probably still be lost. But he definitely helped me, even though he was on the other end of real estate doing the financing. I think it was our mindset and his willingness to always want to help me and push me to become better at what I do. Just, that's where I kind of started growing. It's all mindset.
Yeah.
I would say we definitely put in like a lot of man hours into like prospecting and stuff like that, which brings me to the next thing is like, how did everything change once you guys had kids? So, like, or one kid right now, but number 2 on the way. Like, how has everything changed?
Oh, it's gonna change even more.
So I think one of the things to notate is, like, I know we're briefly discussing about like hustle culture, right? Like nowadays you see it online. It's like, you got to grind.
It's everywhere, bro.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
You got to go. You got to grind. You got to grind. You got to hustle. Morning to night, night to day, sleep, eat, success, right?
Don't even sleep, bro.
Don't even sleep. You better be prospecting in your sleep and growing. And like, it's that thing that it makes you think that that's what you have to do. And I think where you come to a crossroads when you do become wanting to start a family in that sense is, and having kids and stuff, it's like, can you still keep that momentum? Because I know at one point, I mean, in my particular case, to explain my scenario, I was working a lot, right? I was working from, and you were too. I know those days when you would come home super late.
Every year pregnant?
Yeah.
Well,
before pre-baby,
actually,
yeah.
pregnant with him.
Pregnant as well, yeah.
Okay.
And I know that there was times when I was, start early, leave late. It was nighttime. I work Sundays, Saturdays. It was just constant grind. And especially now with social media nowadays, it's kind of like that's what you have to do to become successful. So I think there's that crossroads that once you want to start a family, it's like, all right, can you constantly be hustling? Because if that's what you're always doing, then when is there time to raise your children? When is there time to be with your wife? And in our case, we're both entrepreneurs. Yeah. So it's like, when is she going to have time for me? I'm going to have time for her. We're going to have time for our children. How does that work? And are you required to continue to think that way, or your business falls, right? And I think that's what we're kind of like told to do, especially with social media now and everything. Like, how does that look pre-baby or pre-children and after children? So,
I mean, I think it's BS when people say like there's a balance. I mean, something has to be a little bit off balance for another thing to get better. Like, if I want to be a better father, I have to like turn it down on the business side. Same with if I want to be a better husband, I have to turn something down. And I, at one point, was operating with everything turned up, dude. And I burned myself out so quick. And I started to become this person that I didn't even love. And, I can see how slowly but surely, like, my wife was starting to resent me a little bit. But she was being patient. She's like, hold on, I'm going to let him figure it out on his own. And there'd be times where I don't even figure it out. And she has to tell me, like, hey, you're doing it again. You're drifting away. We got to bring you back to our island and kind of reevaluate everything that's going on. And she would always help me reassess the situation. And then I start to realize, like, I'm overextending myself when I don't really have to. And that's where one thing we talked about is like she showed me how to set my boundaries, whether it's my business, with my friendships and things like that. And that's when I started to realize, okay, you can juggle everything. You just have to figure out how many things you want to juggle at once. And I think that's kind of what we started to figure out as parents with 2 kids now. And it's like, you can do it. It's just like, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think prior to kids, it was just go, 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 go. Like, we just made our own schedule, like just all the time go. And then once we found out we were pregnant, it was like amplified. And then once we had kids, we had to kind of reassess everything. Okay, like this isn't go, go, go anymore. It's okay, we need to make time for our son and then dinner and our relationship. So I feel like like from not having kids to having kids, I feel like our business is better because we have kids. And I think that our kids just overall like make us better.
And I think to note off of that, it's like that notion of like work smarter, not harder.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's like one of those things that like, because you have to consider that now there's a child there, you don't want to fill up one bucket and have another one that's completely empty.
That is
Right?
very true.
Yeah. And it's that thought that like, especially as a man, straight up, like you think, hey, she's pregnant. Now I have to double, triple, quadruple down so that I can handle business because, she's handling her business, right? That's another business,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like that's just a thought that
Well,
I
I
had.
just know before we had Emma, I think we were both like you guys, like just go, 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 work, work, work. I would come home. And it wasn't until later that he mentioned like we got a dog right like a year before we had Emma. And he was my companion. I didn't realize like you would come home late from work every night. And
Yeah.
now at least I had Benji, where before I didn't realize I was alone at home because you would come home late from work. And for me, I would. Sometimes they would be like 8 to 9.
10 even. I would work from home a lot.
Sometimes,
so,
yeah, I tried. That wasn't the goal, but it always somehow
Yeah.
became that. And then when I was pregnant with Emma, I was definitely trying to like double down because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be off for, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. I've never not worked. Well, besides COVID, but but I've never not worked. And so I was the last month before my maternity leave. I didn't realize, I guess, because I didn't know how tired I was going to be. And so like I packed my schedule that whole month and it was terrible. I was just so like drained, so exhausted. So this time around, I'm a little like mindful of that. So I'm definitely trying, like, I'm definitely like after I had Emma, I don't work as much. I work twice a week now, one Saturday a month, if that. And at one point that kind of pushed me to get an assistant, which helps so much. So it was like this work smarter, not harder. So for those days, it definitely helped me get more clients in the days that I was in there, which helped. And now, I mean, that's my plan after. I plan to work the same amount of time and hopefully find a good assistant like I had the last time. But I'm definitely trying to be home more with Emma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so different.
I know that like, especially with me and Edgar, when we decided to become partners, we had a couple of conversations on our goals and kind of what we want to do. And we both coming in as both being fathers, and having young children and being like, hey bro, like, are we going to come in here and have that mentality of like grind? We're going to have that hustle culture in there. Like, yes, but at the same time, to the degree of like, we came to this mutual like conversation that we had is that like both of us want to say is, hey, yes, we want to be successful. Yes, we want to continue to grow. Yes, we don't want to slow that down, but work smarter, not harder, because we want to figure out a way to where if you're working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., are you really working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.? When in reality, and I learned this a lot from you, is just being more conscious of your schedule and saying, hey, if I'm going to work, and I learned this from a long time ago, which I wish I would have taken the advice, which I didn't, was from an old regional manager that I had, was a huge producer. And he said, you want to know my secret to success? Is like, I work from 8 to 5. 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, I take weekends off. How do you do that? You do $500 million in production. And he's like, because from 8 to 5, I work. I literally work.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that especially you, I'm learning a lot of that from you. And that's my current working smarter, not harder goal. Obviously things come up after that, but to really be in the thick of it, to have that time frame and the rest of it from your family is kind of my goal.
Yeah, when you're
That's
home,
what we discussed.
you're home.
Exactly.
You're present.
And you want to
Yeah, present. Yeah. And that's something that,
I think we're still working on that.
for sure. Absolutely.
It's definitely hard.
Yeah, it's hard to
Just automatically switch, right?
Yeah, it's especially when you have to bring work home. I feel like it's so hard to be able to turn that off. I know there are boundaries that we can, create with our clients, but I think that it's a little challenging.
Yeah. And I wanted to share the story with you guys where when it clicked for me, because I was before we found out she was pregnant with Marcus, I was all over the place. I had no structure. I didn't follow a calendar. I let everybody dictate how I was going to, everybody else dictated how my day was going to go, until I found out, she was pregnant, and I started realizing, like, dude, if I keep this up, I'm never going to see my kid. Or, like, I'm going to be that dad that comes in with the freaking tie all messy, shirt half tucked in, a messy, slamming the, like in those movies, like, oh, if dad's home, but, like, yeah, who cares? The dude's a freaking mess. So that's when I was like, damn, I really got to get it together. And really the problem that I was facing with, and I'm going to share how she exposed it.
Wait, hold on. I remember when I told him I was pregnant, I remember we were in the hallway at our old house, and he's like, you're lying. I was like, no, I'm pregnant. And like, I just seen like something click inside of him, like his eyes, like it was like, oh shit, I need to get my shit together moment. Like it was like,
yeah.
And I seen like fear in his eyes, but it was like, I'm ready to do this, because you were doing other businesses. And then I think you were kind of like going back into loans, but I think like after we found out that we were pregnant, was that when you kind of solidified like, okay, I'm gonna stick it out with loans?
Yeah,
it was that.
Yeah, like
it?
I wasn't committed. I mean, I was still doing it, but I wasn't committed to it. But then that's when I was just like, this is where I was like, I had asked her to slap me, and she was like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, I need you to slap me as hard as you can. And she was like, okay, for real? Like for real? I'm like, yes, please. Because I knew I was facing something like within myself, like I was, for lack of a better word, I was being a bitch, and I had to figure out like what's wrong with me. Why am I holding myself back? Why am I afraid to take more risks, or what am I afraid of? And when she slapped me, I was like, that was weak. Like, do it again.
You didn't try it.
Like, do it again, because I knew she was mad at me. I knew I knew that I saw in her, like she knew I had way more potential, and I was just like letting it go. I was letting it die out. And she stuck it out with me for all those years before that, because I talked this big game, but I never backed it up with action.
I remember, do you remember when you wanted to go into your Quick Turtle business?
Yeah. Well, shout out to Quick Turtle. It's still on my
Quick Turtle?
refrigerator. I was going to do
Quick Turtle. I never heard of it.
A hobby of mine was detailing my own car, and I was like, I can do this for a business. And
I remember we were at his parents' house, and he was like, I want to do this. He had like all this game plan. And then I remember I said something like, you always want to get into everything. Or I said something to you that super offended you. He was so mad at me. I don't think you talked to me for the rest of the day.
You gaslit him.
But I
still don't know what that means, by the way.
No, that's not how it goes. So I'm like, I don't think
Ernesto, that's
you
not
didn't
right.
use it right.
But he was so mad at me. But I seen that he wanted to prove me wrong so bad, and I feel like he still has that energy, that fire inside of him. Like if somebody ever doubts him, he's like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Yeah. So I see that all the time in him. And even though like I'm happy that Quick Turtle never like turned into anything. So I don't regret saying that to you.
I don't either. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I seen him like so many hours, and I'm like, okay, like the amount of hours you put into this car and the amount of money you get from it, just the math isn't mathing.
It's not mathing.
That's boy math.
Yeah.
He was doing boy math
so
back then.
So that's kind of where I gave you permission to smack me. So like after I felt like that, because I seen it come out of her like, ooh, like this is for all those times like I didn't say anything to you, and it came, and that's when she hit like a reset button for me, and I started to really dial in on my time. I started to value my time a lot better because I was giving it away for free to everyone. Whoever wanted my time, I'll give it to you. But now it's just like I'm very careful with that because I know that's going to take time away from her, from my future kids, and things like that. And so that's why I'm very careful with my time, because that's the one thing you can never get back. And that's kind of how I feel like she always keeps me in line when it comes to stuff like that. And I know you've talked about it too, how like Brenda helps you too kind of stay in line, like when you kind of go off track a little bit.
But he works differently. I have to let him do it on his own a little bit, because if I tell him from the like initial point, he won't. He kind of, okay, yeah, sure, that's your opinion. He'll keep doing it.
Something has to figure it out.
Yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, if I would have said it from the beginning, you know, and then I'll elaborate. Once he like gives me that open door, then I'm like, I'm going to slide right in.
Yeah. See, no, well, see, and just like the fact that you mentioned a little bit ago that like he wanted to, and I don't even, I think prove you wrong is I think it was more like prove you right in the sense of like, well, not prove you right. I'm sorry, that was wrong. I meant like prove you wrong as in like there's that drive that you guys give us to like want to continue to grow and go and be that. I mean, you guys are both alpha females for sure. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean. I know for me, that's one of the things that I love about you, right? Is the fact that you're a G, like straight up, and seeing that makes me want to try harder. So that's what I meant by like him wanting to try so hard to like just like not necessarily like prove you wrong and say no. I want to show you that I am that guy that you love. Right. And that's the same thing with me. And I felt that a lot with you, and you've seen that. And there's been times when I know you've told me like when you see me constantly like listening to audibles or reading books and doing these things, and like, what are you doing? It's like, I just want to become better. And you're just like, I find that very attractive that you're consistently trying to grow. You're consistently like wanting to better yourself. And I'm like, well, I'm having a kid. Now I'm having another kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are those things. And I think that's some of the important things that like having that in your spouse and being an entrepreneur is like, you need that. If you didn't have that foundation at home, that is going to slap you in the face when you need it. Right. Like you need, like, I mean, Tony Robbins, right? I'm going to bring that up right now, is that we've heard that he literally tells you, call him on the phone right now. You're breaking up with them. You're doing like, why? Because sometimes that person, and I mean, I'm just, you know, it's like that person may not be that foundation that you need to continue to grow. And I know that speaking for myself and from what I've heard and seen from your guys' relationship, that it is that having that foundation is what makes a good entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And having that goes both ways. And I've seen that in your growth. I've seen you wanting to like grow your business, do these extra things. When COVID was happening, she was doing hair for influencers. I was taking her in LA. Yeah, she was doing hair. She was doing influencer hair. We're going to LA on the weekends or whenever an event would come up, and I would drop her off in these mansions, and I'd be like, "Whoa, this is cool," you know, like.
How funny! Yeah,
I knew that.
Yeah,
Brenda.
she was doing hair.
Oh, that was fun. That was a fun experience. How funny for COVID. Yes, I like once everything shut down, I wasn't allowed to work, right? And because I was always on the go, working till like 8, 9 o'clock at night. That time I was like, it was scary because you didn't know, right? But once I found out grocery store, everything else was going to be open, I'm like, oh, heck yeah. That's like a staycation, like that I didn't ask for. So cool. I was like, I'm going to be the best stay-at-home wife. For 2 weeks, I cooked and cleaned every day. I remember he's like, oh, I could get used to this, like clean house, breakfast. 2 weeks. After that, I'm like, I can't be a stay-at-home wife. Like, I need to do something. Like, I need to feel like I'm contributing somehow. Oh, it was hard. And then I did get into that. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, and it was fun. I remember I would take her, we'd drive to LA, and I would be working, you know, I was being passenger right there working on my laptop on the way over there.
Yeah.
And we'd go and they'd have like these, like, we went to that one place.
I found a way to work.
Yeah, that PR lady that you were, like, she would have like these photo shoots with these influencers and these people with like 1 million followers and so on. And that was really, really cool. And that was like...
Cool. So I did their hair and stuff for their photo shoots and videos.
And we'd go to these really big LA mansions, and I'd be like, can I go inside and walk around real quick?
Yeah, I was like, come check it out. Go.
Yeah, and that was really cool. But like seeing that, being her spouse and being like, wow, look at what my wife does.
Yeah.
Look at what she can do. And I'm like, all right, I got to get to work, you know? And it's that thing of saying, having that person to like have that motivation side by side. Like, what more can you ask for?
Yeah. So
That's cool.
kind of going, piggybacking on what you were saying, like you're seeing her grow and stuff like that. And how I was saying, like, I want this episode to be like a timestamp or something that we can reflect on down the road, because I feel that like I feel like I'm just getting started. Like, this is just the beginning. This is a new chapter where I know that we're just going to continue to grow, because I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to take my foot off the gas. Man, I cut the brake lines a long time ago. If I crash, I'm going to freaking blow up the whole car.
We're all blowing up.
Yeah, all of us. And that's kind of where, like, what we were talking about the other day, it's like how Chan and I kind of figured out for us how to hack into like the manifestation and goal setting, and how she taught me this. I didn't know this. I thought it was all BS. And she was just like, yeah, I'm just mad at, like, she's so calm about everything. I'm like,
She makes
girl,
everything look easy.
I know, because it is easy for her. And I'll tell you her secret.
Oh my God.
So she would be
I'll
like,
tell you your secret.
I'm like, she's like, yeah, I'm just going to manifest my or whatever. Like, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. And then we'll have vision board parties. And she's all smiling, cutting out like this
Awesome.
big
That's
paycheck
so
and
cute.
nice luxury car. And I'm like, man, I'm over here like I need to hustle and grind. And she's like, yeah, it'll come to me, watch. And I see her get all her stuff. I'm like, how did you do this? And she's like,
I love
manifestation, law of
that.
attraction. I was like, you need to put me on this
I love
law.
that. Talk more about that.
Yeah, and that's one thing that he mentioned to me, and I was
I
like,
love
and
that.
really, the first year you told me that you guys were going to build a vision board, and I told you that I went and I tried. I had never done it before, and I still to this day, I do have some sort of degree of doing that, but I saw that and I was like, whoa. So yeah, talk a little bit about that. I thought that was
he
awesome.
did it
Yeah,
like
Yeah, so-
especially as a couple, like power
Aw.
couple goals for sure.
Yeah.
So how I got into it, I don't know how I stumbled upon her. Her name is Manifestation Babe on Instagram. She has a podcast. I think I had heard about it, and then I was just intrigued because I'm like, how do you just think of something and then it just comes to you? And I feel like it happened at the right time, because I don't think that I was doing well in my career in real estate. I was probably a few years in, and I remember telling Edgar about it, and he was like, okay, like, whatever. What is this witchcraft that you're doing? And I was like, no, you have to like truly believe in
it.
something, and it's going to come to you. I mean, it goes deeper than that. And I remember, do you remember us fighting about it?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I thought it was silly.
Like he thought it was silly, and I was like, no, like you really have to, like, this mindset shift, like you have to really believe it. And he was just like, well, I don't want to do that. Like he was like, no, because he didn't understand it. And then I'm over here, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like I'm going to continue to just think of a life that I truly believe that I am meant to live, and I'm going to live it. And, you know, I think I remember when you guys started at Snap too, I was like, oh, we should do a vision board party. And we actually did do it with you guys and the girls. Wait, I don't know. Were you there?
I don't think I was there.
I
'Cause I know you
remember-
talked to me
at
about
the,
it.
It was
Yeah,
when
at the new office.
Tristan's new office. I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember seeing like Leslie's vision board and Michaela's. I remember like, oh, this is really good. I don't know if they, you know, I don't know if, like, when I want to do these vision board parties, it's so people can just, you know, see like there's so much more out there than what you currently have, and like you can manifest a life that you truly want. And so when I started doing more research on manifesting, they talk a lot about how, you know, if your energy is aligned with a certain thing, it's going to come to you faster. And so I started doing it with Edgar, and we started having our vision board parties, and then with his sister, and we would host it at our house, and then we would talk about it. And I believe it was this last one and the one before that, everything on my vision board like
That's coming
came
true.
into
That's
fruition.
awesome.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, and it's and I think it's because I'm doing it with people that truly want that for me. And I think that like when you're around people that can see your goals and truly believe that it can happen for you, I feel like it just amplifies that energy and you just get it faster. And so I feel like, you know, talking about the whole mindset thing, I feel like our success like kind of just blew up because it was all mindset.
You built that map in your mind, and I think I heard this recently from a pastor. He said God gave us the ability of imagination, right? We can imagine something. We're one of the few creatures that can imagine something and bring it to reality. Whereas like a bee can build a beehive.
Yeah.
Was it a sea or not a sea otter? Which one's the ones that build dams?
Beavers?
A beaver can build it, but a beaver's never going to build a city. A beaver's never going to build, something outside of what it was created to build. Where we as humans have the ability to imagine something and bring it to reality, and that's something that God gave us, and I think that's beautiful. So that's like manifestation at its finest, and I think that's
I love that.
awesome.
So do you
Yeah.
believe in vision boards now?
Oh, for sure.
After that, yeah.
For sure. So like I read a book, Think and Grow Rich, and he talks about manifestation in a different way, but it all started to click for me. And then that's when I started to understand like vibrations, frequencies, and all this stuff. I'm like, wait a minute. Now it makes sense to me. Like your energy has to match the things that you want, whether you feel like it or not, because you can easily lie to yourself, but subconsciously, whatever you got going on in your subconscious mind is what you start to attract. So if you always tell yourself like, oh, I'm having a bad day, or today's not going to be that great, well, you're going to attract all the negative things in the world versus, you know what, today's going to be a great day. The world can be on fire, but you can still have that mindset like it's going to be a great day today, and you'll just focus on the good things in life. And I think that's helped me because, again, going back to what I was saying about her, she's just so happy. She's doing this and doing that. And I was like, damn, like, how do I do that like her? Like, and I just kind of copy her down, and I can see why she's always like that.
There was just recently, Edgar was like, I think like my last few closings, they were pretty big significant commission checks, and Edgar was like, those just really fell on your lap. And I was like, yeah, because I manifested it.
Well, like you worked, right?
Yeah.
You put in the work, and if you do, it happens. But you have to believe it inside of you. Yeah, no, really, definitely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's like having that person, right? And you said when you bring on, especially when you say the vision board parties or like all that, having that energy and bringing on more of it, it like helps even more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had always told Edgar, I always felt like we were going in the same direction, but we were always on two different paths. And I was like, how can we be in the same car going in the same direction? Because we were just always operating in two different lanes. And I think when we finally were able to click, and that's when I told you the previous vision board and the vision board before that, that's when everything just came to us.
And you know what? I actually did a vision board when you told me. But I didn't do an actual vision board, which I wish I would have done that. But what I did do was I did a vision file. I created a file in my computer, and I put.
I feel like you did a vision board.
Did I? I think I might have. I don't remember, but I remember around that time.
I remember seeing a vision board.
I think so. I think I tried
and
it, but I
like hung it up on your.
Did I? I don't remember.
But it was you don't remember many things though. But I think you did.
We could do a vision board.
But we're live. We'll do a vision.
Yeah.
We're invited to the next vision board
Yes,
party.
yeah,
We're inviting
of course.
ourselves. So, but what I was mentioning was that is I think I said a little bit ago is that's that power of giving each other that and having that spouse that you go home to every day that has that mindset. I mean, how can you not win when both of you guys are aiming towards that?
Oh
Yeah, and I
for
think too, like I think what I did too to help accelerate that was remove my ego. I had such a big ego where I felt like if she's telling me something, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And until I started to realize, like, damn, I'm kind of like an asshole not hearing her out or actually applying what she's telling me because I think I'm right all the time. I started to realize like I was wrong like 67% of the time when she's telling me I'm wrong, and I'm like, damn, she's right. So I started to shift my mindset too, and just really get rid of my ego, because that's helped our relationship at home for sure. But also it started to like allow us to grow faster, like individually and together as a couple, not only just like financially, but like spiritually, like all aspects of life, we started to grow. And that's why I think it's super important that you get aligned with your partner at home, because if you don't, I mean, what are you really working so hard for, right? For yourself?
It is so rare, huh?
And what did we talk about? I think it was a little while back, me and you were, I don't know if we were arguing or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I chose you, you chose me. We're here. So we can either
get along
or not. It's like, I live here. I mean, unless we're planning on going our separate ways, like we're going to be here.
Like, why are
so
we
why not
miserable?
be happy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Try to work with each other.
Exactly.
Because I feel like a lot of the time you do just coexist. You know, you hear a lot of relationships just coexist. They're just roommates, you know, they do their own thing and then that's it. And I feel like
As entrepreneurs, why do you guys like bump heads? Is it because are you guys like not spending enough time with each other? Are you putting work in front of your guys' relationship?
so we don't really bump it. I think
it's just
our
normal,
minds-
right?
Yeah, it's
like,
normal. But also we are different in how we, I guess, like deal with clients. He's more of a people pleaser. So he has learned, I feel like that's one thing he's learned over these years. Like he doesn't have to reply at a client that texts him at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday night. And that's something that I struggled with him with because I hated it. We would be at dinner and he would be like on the phone. I'm like, you do not need to do that. And for me,
boundaries we talked about.
which unfortunately maybe I should get a little bit, but mine is like, okay, I will reply in 5 to 7 business days. You know,
That's not allowed in our business, by the way, but
I know.
but in yours potentially, not in mine.
I know, but I also have like an online system that
Yeah.
does it, you know. But that was really hard. And for me, the way we, like when we have conflicts with our clients, like we tend to resolve them differently too. So
But we discuss it
Yeah,
together.
we
I just say,
discuss
hey,
it.
how should I
Yeah.
take on this client that has upset me, or like I'm not gonna like I'm saying I'm gonna text them back this, or how should I do that? And that's where I know that her being an entrepreneur, I can actually go to her for these things because she understands.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause
Even though we reply differently.
I do feel like it would be really hard to like be with someone. And I feel like maybe there is people that understand it, but it is very, I personally, I feel like it would be really hard to be with someone with like a regular 9 to 5 job. Like they go to work and then they're off and then that's it. They don't have to work. Like they're working at a business and then that's it, you know? And for us, I feel like we do understand. If I go to him with something, like he understands it. If I have to spend a little more time outside of work at home, like he gets it. And so and vice versa, I feel like there's not like you need to get off it. Like, I don't get it. Why are you prefer work over me and your family. And sometimes, I mean,
Yeah.
there's that line that's a little blurry.
It's two different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like you run your business differently.
I mean, I would get tunnel vision sometimes because I start to see like when I see clients, I see just like growth, and I'm like, I get stuck in it. And when I get home, I don't even turn it off. Talking about being present, sometimes I just won't even be. I'm there physically, but I'm just like in my head, like playing scenarios nonstop. And that's when she would just tell me, "Hey, like what's going on? Like play with Marcus or something, kind of like bring me down to earth."
And we noticed, I don't know if it's just a guy thing, but I noticed that with him too. Like, even if he's there and he's like, I'm listening, I can tell his mind is somewhere. And if I know that he's talked to me about a conflict with a client or something, like I know he's thinking about it. And I can tell with like, just with his being, like whether he, you know, whatever, even if he's responding to me, I'm like, okay, can you finish thinking about what you're thinking about and then come to me and talk to me whenever you're ready, because I know you're not present. So I have to like constantly just remind him.
And that goes back to that understanding, right? That we're both on the same page that happens. Not to say that doesn't cause conflict, because it was just like with any relationship, it's not perfect, but understanding that. So really quickly, changing the subject a little bit or turning things up a little bit. I wanted to talk about the next thing is that, so we have one baby. We have another one on the way, so we're gonna have two. You guys have two small children. We have Emma, who's about to turn 2 this month, this month. We have baby ? Who's about to come into February of this coming year. So what I kind of wanted to chat about is being a parent and having kids now, being entrepreneurs, like. Especially, I mean, I know we have one, you guys have 2. So what has been your experience with that? Because I think that would be something interesting for listeners. I think that would be something that listeners would be interested in hearing, because, you know, when you do have kids, is it like, you know, how does that, you know, work, I guess you could say.
I think we've been very blessed that our friends allowed Marcus to go to they're starting this, so she owns an autism center, but they want to branch off and do this Head Start type of school. So from the ages of 18 months to 5 years old. And I reached out to her. I told her, like, you know, I really want to get my son into school early. I think he went in like at
18 months.
18 months. So
Nice.
he's been in school since. So that has helped us tremendously when, you know, we needed to work. It just alleviated us for 3 to 4 hours because we don't rely on a lot of our families or babysitters. I tend to, you know, take on a lot of the household duties. And then when Olivia came, I feel like at this age it's so easy because all
And for our
the-
listeners, what are their ages?
Marcus is going to be 4 in November, and then Olivia just turned a year a few weeks ago in August. So, I think they're really like at a really good, like they have a good age gap, and I feel like with Olivia now, you know, the first year of her life, she doesn't demand much. So it was so. You know, I don't want to say it's easy, but I don't want to say it was so hard.
She also makes it look so easy. She's so calm and collected all the time.
I mean, I have my days where it's too much stimulation because we have 3 dogs at home, and you know they're always like the kids are always just wanting to climb on me. I do get those moments, but then I have to realize, like, you know what, this is what I wanted.
Yes.
Like, I'm so grateful for the family that we have, and I want to continue to work hard for our kids and my husband and, you know, for their future kids. And I feel like I feel like when people say like, it is so hard, but I mean, you know, like, I think that there's always a bright side to it. And I think that's just me always being optimistic about everything.
What
That's
I
a good
would
way to
say
see it all the
is
time.
like, as a husband, as a father, like, I know when you're handling the kids and I'm at work, like, I have to work because if I don't, and I'm just messing around, social media, whatever, and you're over there struggling because you do have those moments, like overly stimulated, I have to get what I have to get done in a certain time frame and hurry up and go home and give you some relief time, because that's super important. Because otherwise, going back to why I'm here today is because of her. She's able to hold it down for a few hours out of the day while I'm putting in work at the office, and then, you know, hurry up, get back home, give her some time to herself, handle the kids. And that's where, for me, and what I've learned, not just from myself, but hearing other really successful people talk about, is like, you can work as hard as you want, but if you don't like stop to smell the roses, you're really going to miss out on the most important things in your life. And that's what motivates me to just keep doing what I'm doing. It's just like, how can I work smarter? How can I spend time with my kids and make sure that my wife is not pulling her hair out, you know, because at the end of the day, I want all of us to be happy. So it's like, I would say for those who are trying to figure it out, you really have to, I think, I hate to say this, but one person does kind of have to sacrifice a little bit more than the other person. And this comes down to the hunter-gatherer mentality. I'm a hunter at heart. I have to go out and get another kill. While she's at home with the kids, the family, she's a gatherer with a basket picking up berries. You know, she's still grinding, she's still hustling, but I have to go bring the big kill to the house. And I think when I have that mindset, if I go out, I'm hunting, but I'm really not. I'm on social media, like, and she's doing all this work. I mean, am I even worthy enough to be her husband? You know, like,
it also helps that you are very, like, it's very helpful when he's home because it alleviates me from one child. Like, Marcus always gravitates towards him, and he's the more needier child right now. So I feel like it helps that he's so super present when he's home. Like, he's with the kids too, and focus on playtime with him. And I think that's what makes it easy. That's why I say, like, oh, it's easy because I have a very supportive husband that's helping me.
And that's so important too.
Yeah, and that's a partner. You know what I mean? Like, just like with business, right? Like,
Yeah.
not comparing that so much to business, but like we've even said it. It's like, yeah, that's your spouse, like, for real. But we're in a business marriage together, and that's where you have to pull your weight, right, to make it easier for the other person. Because if they're important to you, then you'll do that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because sometimes you get home too and you're like, oh, hi, babe. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, Emma has been on me all day. And you're like, okay, but you know, like, how's your day? Like, so he'll be understanding. He won't just get automatically, like, you know, he won't just automatically, like, hate me for being in a bad mood. And, you know, so I've noticed that, and that helps at least, you know, to feel like, okay, you're not going to take this to heart. Like, you know, I've just been with Emma and Benji climbing on me all day, and you're understanding. You're not going to be mad at me for it, and then we're going to be grumpy with each other if you've had a bad day. Like, you you understand it, like I understand it. So we try to kind of give each other space a little bit till we can breathe. Come
So is
back
he
to-
your outlet, like when you just need to vent?
Yes. Oh yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah, we have
partner.
really good conversations.
Yeah.
We'll just sit there and
Yeah.
both just talk. And I think that
Yeah.
we've talked about that, how that's important in a relationship, that you guys can just both just talk to each other and be on the same page because you have the same goals. And just like you mentioned, sometimes we may be on the same overall path, but in different directions, I guess you could say. And it's how do we bring them back? And it's through having that communication. and
Yeah,
talking.
I'm very grateful. Like he can actually get into a conversation if I have something to talk about and vent. Like he's a really good listener. You know, when he's not thinking about work, when he shuts off everything else, he's really good at that. And I'm so grateful because I can actually have a conversation about feelings and emotions and how I feel and what I need him to do. And he's very open. I mean, dating obviously was a whole other thing. He was different, but now I'm so grateful. He's so good.
It's all part of growth. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good at that, and I feel like he is what I need whenever I do feel like I want to talk about feelings and emotions, and he's a good listen. Like if I need him to step it up in a certain area, like I will communicate that with him, and he'll listen, and he will try. He will try to better himself.
And it's kind of one of those things. It's like you have to talk to us as men because I heard it somewhere where they were just like, we speak in different languages.
Yes.
In the sense of like, I can't read your mind. If you tell me one thing, then that's what I know it is. But otherwise,
Otherwise, you get some gaslighting going on.
some gaslighting going on. Kind of taking things a little bit in another direction that I feel as though would be valuable to potential people that are looking into either already entrepreneurs and are a little bit newer, especially in a difficult market coming from a real estate aspect. I don't know if it's really impacted, interest rates have impacted the hair industry, but but like just coming from that is like growth in the sense of like how like we kind of briefly talked about it at the very beginning, but one thing that I did kind of was thinking about when we were talking about it was when you want to grow your business starting from nothing, you're just kind of like, okay, I'm here. Like, what advice would you give to the new hairstylist or the new real estate agent or the new lender, right? We can talk about that. Is because, and I think I've said it before, was we don't have a time to start. We don't, like, you don't have to clock in at 8 o'clock. You have to build up a business. You have to build up a clientele because like, just like when you got your hair license, when you got your real estate license, when I got my mortgage license, like, I didn't just say, okay, I have my license now. All these clients, come to me. Like we had to build a book of business. So like, cause just like hairstylists, right? You see a lot of hairstylists and I don't know what the percentage is, but I would assume that there's a large percentage of hairstylists that go to hair school, get their cosmetology license and aren't doing hair.
I think it's like 20% that actually do hair.
Yeah, so that's an
Yeah.
80-20. That's a big amount
Really.
that doesn't. And I know that's similar to in real estate, in lending, all that. Like, what advice would you give to these people that like have now started? And it doesn't have to be in hair or in real estate or anything like that. But like, what advice would you give these new entrepreneurs that are starting this new business to get clientele or to build that book of business, if you want to be a little bit more general with it? But like, what advice would you give coming from an entrepreneur standpoint? Would you?
I think honestly, you do have to hustle. You have to put in your time at the beginning. Like you can't just think it's going to come to you and feel entitled. Like I have my license and you know, this is like people need to trust you. And so you need to like build that trust. And from the beginning, at least for my industry, it's different now even from when I started because now social media is way bigger than it was when I started. And so now I feel like you just want to learn more, like as much as you can from other people. It's hard to find people that are willing to teach you though. I think in all industries, I'm sure that that's how it goes, but you find the good people. If you find good people that are willing to teach you what they know from all those years, like you respect them and you just hang on to that, learn as much as you can and try to get as much experience as you can at the same time and just be a good person. I feel like people do gravitate towards good people. And if you have genuine intentions with, you know, your clientele and you really want to grow, people see that. Because I do notice like people really saw that I really was willing to learn, willing to be better and willing to do good. And I feel like your energy, the energy you put out there really comes back to you. Like, I love all of my clients, and I can generally say, like, you know, there's a lot of bad clients, but a lot of them don't gravitate towards me. So I've learned that over the years. Like, so if you build your business to where you kind of have an ideal client, and I'm sure you guys can attest to that too. Like, if you have an ideal client, the more energy, the good energy you put out there, like, it'll come to you. So I feel like in the end, you'll have all these good clients, your ideal clients, and then they'll make your business thrive.
I agree 100% with everything she says. You, like, if people are out, like, they don't have kids and they're getting started with their business, like, you do have to hustle, you do have to put in the time. And I feel like reaching your sphere of influence is really big. Like, if you just started hair or started real estate, tell everybody, hey, I'm doing real estate, and, you know, and be knowledgeable in your field, because you are going to get a lot of questions, and sometimes it might not lead to something, but you always want to be knowledgeable. And I feel like omnipresence is just so important. Be on social media everywhere and be out there. Just throw yourself out there, because it's, you know, it's how you're going to build your name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, man, I'll keep this brief because I can go on for forever. But starting off, like, bet on yourself. Like, and I was telling this to Chan this morning. I was like, you can find the perfect stock, invest 10 grand in it, wait 10 years, and that can turn into 100 grand, 200 grand, whatever. But if you invest it, like, every dollar that you can back into yourself, like, you can make 100 grand, you can make 500 grand, $1 million in a year if you just keep reinvesting in yourself. And whatever industry you're in, things can change, like interest rates that can wipe out your whole business, your pipeline or whatever. It can or cannot, depends on the mindset you have. But COVID wiped out a lot of businesses. But if you really focus on yourself, building yourself up, and really try to improve all your attributes, like, every year, you just get better, you get stronger, you get smarter, you're able to pivot faster. So every industry is going to change no matter what, but you're always going to be ready, and you can't get that taken away from you. Your stock can go down if you invest in that stock and it crashes or whatever, but when you invest in yourself, that can't go down. I would say that would be, like, the number one most important thing. Anybody starting off, like, as an entrepreneur, that would be the number one thing. And that goes not just for your business, but for your personal life too. And I think that's what I would just, that goes to anybody. Like, just focus on investing on yourself, keep growing, and then just, keep raising the standard for yourself.
Yeah.
And to add to that is being self-employed, we don't clock out. So like you were saying, is it goes to your business and to yourself. Because at the end of the day, when you're self-employed, you're technically always on. So whether that's actually physically working or preparing, and on top of that, we're obviously here with our spouses, is we have to consider them as well, right? So if you're, like we said a little bit ago, if you're filling up one bucket, you're emptying out the other, you want to make sure that all the buckets are filled evenly. And whether, like he was mentioning stocks, so whether that's monetary, what's cool is being new, like we're talking about, is giving someone newer some insight or some thoughts, is that investing in yourself with, whether it's podcasts, constantly learning, because being new, you don't know. Mm-hmm. And if you talk to a client, you may not feel as knowledgeable, therefore you'll have that fear, or you won't, or you'll sound like you don't really know what you're talking about. But if you're immersing yourself in whatever industry that is, because every industry has industry leaders that you can learn from. And the most successful people are always willing to give out whatever they have. That's literally one of the key points of successful people, that they'll say, hey, I'm an open book, and they're willing to give out all this information. And if you look for it, it's there.
Yes.
And immerse yourself in learning. Like I said, whether that's podcasts, whether that's YouTube videos, books, it's all there. Like, what do they say is, if you want to hide something, hide it in a book, because no one will think to look there. There's so much information. It's really taking a deep dive into the author's brain. And if you find out these industry leaders, whether it's specifically into your industry, whether it's just like just someone that is like Ed Mylett has been huge more recently, and I've learned a lot from him being an entrepreneur. Immerse yourself in that. And you will go in with that confidence of knowing and understanding is you're not going to get rich on the first day. And you might, who knows? You might be a killer and you just get that. But just knowing that you're going to have to cross that river that might be a little bit difficult to swim through. But if you get to the other side, that's where success lies.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree, for sure.
So Guys, it looks like we're kind of coming towards the end. Is there anything you'd like to add, Edgar? Anything you guys might like to add? Anybody?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, when you get home at night with your wife or husband, or wife, husband, doesn't matter. Like, you always have to be on the same page. I've heard this from many people. Typically, it's older people. It's like, never go to sleep angry with your spouse.
Yeah.
So make sure that you clear the air before you go to bed, because as you get older and your kids move out and it's just you two, that's it. It's just you two. So make sure that you take care of that business first before any other business. That would be one thing I'd say in closing.
Anything you guys would like to say in
And if
closing?
you don't feel like you can come home to a person, call them right now and break up with them. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Brenda Robbins?
Brenda Robbins. Yeah, but I do agree. Like, having a great, or choosing your partner, choose them wisely, especially if you're going to be having kids with them. Choose them wisely, because it makes a world of a difference.
Having kids is hard enough. And I feel like if you already have that burden of coming home to someone you can't rely on, that makes it a lot harder.
Like we said, like we're here.
Yeah.
We can either make it crappy or we can enjoy it. Like, you know, so
it a good life.
pick your side or pick what
Yeah.
you want to do. So, I mean, both of them are options. So,
Yeah.
anything like to add?
Cool.
Ending closing?
No, I really appreciate you ladies
Yeah.
coming in.
Thank
to
you
chat
guys.
with us.
Literally,
Thank
thank
you
you so
for
much.
I
having
appreciate
us.
you
Yeah.
guys.
So, well, I
What's
guess
for dinner?
Heck no.
So, what are you cooking? Alrighty, guys. Well,
Where's
thank
my
you so much.
I know.
Oh, seriously. What are we ordering?
Yeah.
Uber Eats, huh? Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you so much. I know myself and Edgar are really appreciative of whoever's listening to this. We appreciate you guys. And yeah.
Where can where can people follow you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't really.
We can clip this out, but I just.
stuff.
I know.
Wait, you want me to my Instagram?
What's your OnlyFans? I'm just kidding. Dude, it's
My feet finder?
I know. Be fine.
Edgar is trying to sell my feet
Hey.
picture.
Oh my
Hey.
goodness. Trying to
told
make
you. Oh my
money.
goodness.
There you go with all his business.
Yes, entrepreneur.
Trying to figure it out.
you know you
So-
can make $20,000 a month. So
20,000 a day. People will go crazy
Yeah.
for feet. My Instagram is Chenma at Chenma.
Mine is Brie.solo.
So she recently changed her name. So it's Brie.solo. So I've been trying to convince her, because now she's Brenda Padilla, for her to switch it to Brie Pad.
No.
Pad.
Yeah,
Brie.pad.
no.
Why
It was
Pad?
a joke. It was a joke. Pad, because Solo.
I know, but, like,
Because
why not?
her last name was Solorio, and now it's Padilla. So it's like Brie Solo. So now Brie Pad.
Yeah, no. Not
So.
going to happen.
Alrighty. So, alrighty, guys. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you guys on. And until next time.
take care.